Hello guys, welcome back to Mads Insights. Thank you for joining me today on this lovely afternoon. For this video, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't even intend to come out here and shoot a video today. I didn't have something in mind. I've had some trouble coming up with ideas lately for videos, but I have been on this path lately of trying to be more consistent and working on things regardless of whether or not I feel like I'm ready for them or if I have a plan. And so I figured that today, even though I didn't have something in mind, that I gotta make a video anyway. And it just so happened that I was out off-roading today, having some much needed quiet time to myself, and I came across this campground that is not currently being used. And so I found a really quiet, beautiful spot to hang out by myself, and I found this really cool table. And when I saw it, I figured, what better time than now to film a video. So with that being said, because I didn't have something planned, there was a few things that I've wanted to talk about, and I just haven't had the opportunity to. And so this is a great time to do it. So the first thing is, I wanted to talk about the point of this channel, my goals for it, and what kind of direction I want to take it in. So when I created this channel a few years ago, I was really excited about the idea of creating videos and creating anything really with a camera. And while I had a lot of fun doing it, I really struggled with it. I didn't keep up with it. I wasn't consistent. And there was this excitement that I had about the prospect of it. But when it came to actually doing it, I really struggled to kind of figure it out and believe in myself, believe that I could do it, and therefore follow through. And so now it's years later, and I'm finally starting to create things again. And it feels really good. But I know how my brain works, and I know that it is very easy for me to fall off the wagon again and kind of drop it. But because I've been on this roll lately, I've been consistent. I have decided that I want to keep working at it, at least for the time being. I want to give it a real shot. With that being said, the point of my channel is I have no goals to, gain a lot of followers or blow up or, reach any sort of, recognition milestone. What I want from this channel is to kind of create this place for me to have a video journal and to use it as an opportunity to express my thoughts and feelings and experiences that I have throughout my life, and also be able to have some sort of creative outlet where I can practice things like using my camera, taking photos, creating videos, playing with audio, whatever, just getting into that space of creating content, but doing it in a way that isn't stressful, that I'm not putting pressure on myself, and I'm not, placing myself into a niche or a specific genre that I have to stick to. I feel like that's just too limiting, and because I'm really kind of just trying to dabble and do what I can and learn as I go, I think it's much more reasonable for myself to not, box myself in to any specific type of content creation. With that being said, I really enjoy making these videos where I can talk to the camera about things that I'm thinking and experiencing, and trying to share life advice and wisdom, because it's something that I really enjoy watching from other people. It's something that really interests me, and it seems like a very easy way to create videos. You know, it doesn't require a ton of editing or, you know, crazy camera work or footage or whatever. You can kind of just come up with an idea, come up with something that you want to talk about, set up the camera in a nice quiet location and start. And that has made the process really a lot easier for me. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I've been having a lot of fun. And moving forward, I would really like to continue to create videos such as this one, but kind of sprinkle in more, more like unique filmmaking, and try different techniques and different camera angles and different shots and B-roll, and kind of sprinkle it in as I can and as I get more comfortable, but without like putting too much pressure on myself. So something that I want to kind of open up about is the fact that I really struggle with coming up with content ideas and video ideas. I think that's one of my issues that has kept me from creating, is just having maybe like some sort of self-doubt, or just feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, that leads me to not creating anything at all. And so, you know, lately I have been struggling with video ideas, but like I'm doing now, I really wanted to come out and create regardless. And what's been really cool is through this experience with, you know, YouTube and a little bit of filmmaking, in addition to other life experiences I've been having lately, there's a few things that I've learned in general and about myself that have really helped me grow and become more of the person that I want to become. So when it comes to filmmaking and doing this, I have been the most consistent with it that I've ever been in my life. I've posted 3 videos in the past month or so, and while that's not anything for so many people out there, for me that's really huge, and I'm really proud of myself for following through with it. And it's been really cool seeing myself be consistent, because I'm building this trust in myself and this belief that if I just put my mind to something and I work at it and I try, that I can do it. And that's been just so special and honestly life-changing. And it's been really cool too, because while maybe a month ago this lesson that I've learned started through the process of making these videos and taking and editing photos, I'm starting to apply that same logic to my new job. I started this new job lately that is out of my comfort zone, and there's a lot of things that I have to learn, and there's things that are honestly difficult for me that I don't necessarily feel like I'm experienced enough to do, but part of the job is doing it regardless. And so I'm really working on trying to not shut myself down, and just understanding that just because I don't know something doesn't mean that I'm necessarily unqualified or incapable of doing it. It just means that I haven't done it before, like I haven't learned it yet. And so that's actually like a piece of advice that I would like to give you guys. If there's anything that you want to work on or pursue, or you know, maybe you had a recent life change, or you start a new job and you don't feel like you're ready for something just because you don't know what you're doing or you lack experience, I want you to know, like, that is totally okay. And in fact, that's extremely normal. You know, everything that we do in our lives has to start somewhere. Like, you could look at anybody that's successful or that's good at anything, and they started somewhere. They didn't just wake up one day and now they're this super experienced whatever. And so it's been really cool learning that, like, I don't need to put myself down immediately. I don't need to feel bad for being inexperienced or tell myself that I'm not ready or that I'm unqualified, because becoming qualified and like learning stuff and getting good at something takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes consistent effort. And if you just put in the work, chances are, like, most likely you're gonna excel at it, or you're at least gonna do somewhat of a good job. You're gonna figure it out. And so this is something that I've been learning lately. And, you know, in hindsight, I'm like, wow, what a stupid revelation. You know, everybody gets this. But I don't know. I do feel like so many people struggle with self-doubt and not believing that they're ready for something, and therefore they just don't do it at all. So that's been something that's been really great. Something else that I've learned is that if you don't know the process of something, if you don't know the path forward, all you have to do to get there is to start. Something that, like, I've realized lately is I've spent so much time in the preparation phase trying to, like, learn about things before pursuing them, you know, things like YouTube. And I honestly just ended up spending, like, so much time that I wasted watching videos and reading about things and, like, learning about how to do something. And it gave me this, like, false sense of accomplishment, because it kind of, like, I've heard it releases dopamine, so it tricks you into feeling like you've actually done something when you haven't done anything at all. And so I've spent so much time with all sorts of things that I've wanted to learn or pursue, just, like, watching videos about it, consuming content, learning about it. And then I end up looking back and I'm like, oh my gosh, so much time has passed and I'm still at square one. I haven't done anything this whole time. I could have just gone into it blind, but just started, and I could have been so much farther than I was now. So that right there is really, like, a piece of advice that I want to put forward. If there's something that you want to work on and pursue or learn, the best thing to do is to not consume a bunch of information on it, and to not, like, think about it and try to prepare yourself fully. I think there's, like, a fine line of, you know, good preparation, a good amount of time preparing for something, and then crossing that line into just kind of holding yourself back from actually achieving the thing. So, you know, consume whatever you need to a certain degree, but after a certain point, you have to realize, like, okay, I just need to start. And even better, if you're trying to pursue something and you have no idea about it, but you have, like, you know, any means to get started, it's better to just get started and let the path kind of unfold in front of you along the way than trying to learn everything that you can beforehand. I just think that really sets us up for failure. It tricks our brain into thinking that we're accomplishing something when we're really not getting anywhere. And I think in that sense, like, ignorance is bliss, and you will learn along the way. And that's the beauty of it. Like, I'm learning that there's so many things that I can do, and watching videos about it or talking to other people about doing it is no substitute for actually getting out and doing it and having that experience myself. Another thing that I've been working on lately is how I talk to myself and how I treat myself. A piece of advice that I want to give you guys is that we have to be really supportive of ourselves. Life is so painful and hard and unfair, and there's not always going to be other things or people that are supporting you throughout whatever journey or experience you're on. And so the most important thing that we have to do is look out for ourselves. And I really think that we need to be supportive of ourselves. Lately, I've been really trying to not shoot myself in the foot before pursuing anything. You know, that little voice in my head can be so mean at times. and it can really just make me believe that I'm not good enough and that I can't do something or that I'm too stupid. I've really, really struggled with that a lot in my life. And this year, throughout all the different experiences that I've had that are really hard, but I've gotten through and I've overcome, I'm realizing that like all these terrible things that I would tell myself had no merit and they didn't hold any weight. The only weight that they held was the weight that I was giving them. And so I needed to support myself and not put myself down. And it's cool because it's this positive feedback loop. Like the more you start to learn to support yourself and be kind to yourself and give yourself grace, the more you start to realize like how capable you are, and that like you are a smart person, you are a good person, you are worthy, and you are able. And whenever you spend your entire life telling yourself the opposite, you're not giving yourself any opportunity to grow into the person that you are underneath it all, or that you could be. You're immediately like putting a block up, you're putting a wall in front of any potential that you have. And I see this with a lot of people. We limit ourselves so much by the comparison and the self-talk and the anger at ourselves for mistakes we've made. And we have to learn to give ourselves some grace and show ourselves some kindness. It is so important. And another thing that I wanted to add to that is the idea of giving yourself grace is really important too. And there's a balancing act between giving yourself enough grace and giving yourself too much grace. You know, let's say for example, like you have this plan to create a new habit, and you want to implement this new habit. Well, if you mess up and let's say you work on it for a week and you miss 3 out of the 7 days, like you have to be able to give yourself some grace and understand, okay, I'm trying something new, it's hard, I'm not used to it, and I missed a few days and I made a mistake, and that's okay. I can't like beat myself up to the point where I'm not gonna keep trying again. Like I can't tell myself that, oh, like that's it, progress is gone, progress is lost, there's no point. You have to be able to like advocate for yourself and be proud of yourself whenever you do follow through, and not beat yourself up too much when you don't follow through, you're making a mistake. But on the other hand, if you give yourself too much grace, and let's say you miss you do one day and then you miss the second day, and then after that you miss day 3, 4, 5, and 6, well, now you're kind of allowing yourself to not follow through. And so too much grace is not helpful either. So in our lives, we all have to find a nice balance between being kind to ourselves, being proud of ourselves, and not being too hard on ourselves when things don't always go exactly how we wanted them to, because life happens. But at the same time, we also have to check ourselves, and we have to keep ourselves in line, and we have to uphold a certain amount of integrity and trust in ourselves. Like I think that's really important. And if you can't uphold certain things, like you're learning that you can't trust yourself. So with that being said, find that fine balance between giving yourself grace and giving yourself too much grace. And another thing that ties into this really well is setting too high of expectations for yourself. I think that as humans, and especially in the world that we live in now, where everything is online and everything has to be this way or that way, and there's so much judgment and whatever, I feel like we place really high expectations on ourselves. But when we do that and we fall short, we are really shooting ourselves in the foot. And one of the last things that I wanted to talk about, which ties into this concept well, is expectations and how we set them for ourselves and how we should set them for ourselves. So I think that we have to be really careful with the expectations that we set for ourselves, because if we set too low of expectations, then we're not really growing, we're not pushing ourselves forward, we're kind of staying stagnant. But if we set too high of expectations as well, especially when starting something new, or having a new experience or going through a different life change, if you set too high of expectations, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because if you don't live up to those expectations, well, you feel like you've failed, and you feel like you've lost trust in yourself, and that's not okay either. So we need to find a balance between those two. I think it's really important that we set expectations for ourselves to grow and to push forward and to be more idealized versions of ourselves. But I also think it's important that those expectations are reasonable. And I would say, for example, for any endeavor, let's say any creative endeavor, like for example, for me, for YouTube, if I set an expectation to post like a video or 2 or 3 every single week, I would be setting myself up for failure, because right now I'm so new to this space and this activity that I don't always know what to shoot. I don't always have the time to shoot. And if I place that expectation on myself and then I failed to meet it, I would probably get really upset at myself, and then I might honestly just drop the ball and stop following through, because I've created this thought in my head that oh, I'm a failure, I can't do this, I'm not good at it. And so that isn't helpful at all. But if I set too low of expectations, if I was to be well, I could post a video once every 2 months and it'd be fine. Well, that's also not going to move the needle forward, because I have all this time and all this opportunity to skip out on it and forget about it and, go in a different path with my life. So that was just an example that I'm experiencing right now. But make sure that if you're working on something or you're working on personal growth, that you're setting the right expectations, and start small. Start small enough that you're not gonna overwhelm yourself and, maybe fail and drop the ball and then put yourself down for it. But don't set them so low that any effort that you're making isn't actually adding to your progress. I think it's really important. Be very careful with that. Be intentional. Push yourself, but don't push yourself so much that you're gonna, step on your own feet and feel like you can't do it. Hey guys. In post-processing, I realized that the footage that I had from yesterday was cut off around the 29-minute mark. I learned that apparently my camera has a time limit for recording videos. So unfortunately, my conversation that I was having got abruptly cut off, and I'm sorry if it kind of makes the video a little weird, but now I know that I can adjust my filmmaking strategy moving forward, and hopefully start making videos where the last however many minutes doesn't get cut off and lost. So anyways, I hope you still enjoyed the video. I hope you got some good information from it, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Peace.